Once upon a time, there was a king. He had a minister who was very wise. He often used to say that whatever happens, happens for the good. One day, the king was cleaning his sword while the minister was sitting right next to him. The sword fell on the king's feet and one of his fingers were cut off. The minister quickly got a piece of cloth and tied it to the king's finger and said, "Dear king, don't worry. Whatever happens, happens for the good, so be happy." The king got very angry and said, "I am bleeding a lot and I'm crying in pain, and you're saying it is all good? You are such a big fool. You will be thrown in jail." The king got the minister thrown in jail. The minister smiled and said aloud, "Whatever happens, happens for the good." But one fine morning, the king went alone for hunting in the forest. There were no guards or ministers with him. He soon lost his way in the forest and landed in an enemy's tribal kingdom. Suddenly, the tribal king and his soldiers rounded up the king and tied him to a tree. The tribal soldiers then drank and danced around the king and shouted, "Let this king be sacrificed to our gods." Shouting thus, they all prepared the king for the big sacrifice to their god. The king was sad as there was no minister with him to advise him how to escape. The tribal king and the priest came to inspect the king and saw that the king was missing a finger. The priest then said to the tribal king, "Sir, this man is missing one finger and he is incomplete. Our gods will be angry if we sacrifice an incomplete human being. Therefore, this body is unfit to be sacrificed." The tribal king agreed and set the king free. Upon his return, he immediately ordered the minister's release. The king said to the minister, "I now believe that everything happens for our good, as my life was saved because my finger was cut." The minister smiled and replied, "I am so happy to know that you are alive and that finger saved your life. It saved my life too." The king was confused and asked, "But how did it save you? Can you explain how it was good for you?" The minister replied, "Because you had put me in prison, I was not able to accompany you on your hunting trip. If I had been there with you, the tribal men would have taken me along with you and would have definitely sacrificed me to their deity, as I do not have a cut finger and my body is whole." The king was pleased with the minister's reply and from then on always consulted the wise minister while making any decisions for his kingdom. In life, we face bad times, we face adversity, we get injured, things won't go according to plan. But many times we will look back, we will realize that all those things happened for the good. Those things made who we are. If those adversities never occurred, we would never become the person we are today. In a speech by the great Steve Jobs, he said, "You cannot connect the dots looking forward, you can connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future." Everyone has bad days. Some just last longer or happen with great frequency. But remember that no day is ever all bad. Some of your greatest triumphs and opportunities will come on the heels of difficulty. Certainly, the bad news at times will feel like someone is swinging at your head with a baseball bat. But during those days, you should focus hardest on looking for some sign of progress. Any small win should become a reason to pat yourself on the back. Even though you might often move one step forward and two steps back, it will be the smallest victory that would give you the confidence to slug it out and continue. No matter how bad things get, always know that your life is still far better than many others in this world. Always believe that if you overcome the temporary adversity, it will always add up to you living the best life. You will be victorious in the end.